The city of Tel Aviv has found itself at the center of one of the most severe environmental crises in its recent history. What began as a seemingly contained wildfire quickly escalated into a large-scale disaster that impacted both forested areas and densely populated urban zones. Fueled by strong winds and dry vegetation, the flames spread at an alarming rate, throwing surrounding neighborhoods into chaos and forcing thousands to evacuate their homes urgently. From the earliest moments, the intensity of the blaze created dramatic scenes. Thick columns of smoke engulfed entire streets. The sky turned shades of orange and red, and the roar of the fire echoed even in central parts of the city. Countless residents captured on video how the flames consumed trees, rooftops, and facades, while emergency crews raced against time to prevent the fire from reaching the most populated areas of Tel Aviv's urban core. The cause of the fire remains under investigation, but experts agree that a combination of extreme heat, prolonged dry conditions, and possible human activity, whether accidental or intentional, created the perfect storm for this tragedy. In the context of global climate change, these types of events are becoming more frequent and increasingly difficult to manage, especially in regions where flammable vegetation borders urban areas. Firefighters faced enormous challenges. The topography of the area, made up of hills, narrow roads, and dense woodland, hindered access to the main ignition points. On top of this, unpredictable wind shifts constantly disrupted efforts to establish containment lines or attack the flames from the air. Despite these obstacles, emergency crews responded swiftly. Helicopters and specialized aircraft were deployed to drop water and fire retardants over critical areas. Meanwhile, dozens of ground units worked tirelessly in the streets, many advancing on foot through rubble and smoke-filled zones. One of the most tense moments occurred when a group of firefighters managed to rescue a family trapped in their home, surrounded by flames. The operation, carried out amid unbearable heat and near-zero visibility, was hailed as a heroic act and became a symbol of hope for a desperate community. The quick coordination of emergency teams also helped to partially halt the fire's advance towards some of the city's most densely populated neighborhoods. Local authorities immediately activated evacuation protocols. Alerts were sent through multiple channels, including text messages and loudspeakers in the streets. Entire families fled their homes in haste, carrying only essentials, and took refuge in temporary shelters set up in schools, community centers, and public buildings. City hospitals and medical centers were placed on high alert. Many individuals were treated for mild to moderate smoke inhalation, and several patients with chronic respiratory conditions required preventive hospitalization. At the same time, psychological support was offered to evacuees, especially children and the elderly, who were deeply affected by the stress of the situation. Volunteers played a critical role. Dozens of citizens organized to distribute water, food, and clothing to the displaced. Some families offered temporary shelter, while civil organizations actively participated in logistics and transport efforts. This spontaneous community response was key to relieving the pressure on emergency services. In parallel, fire breaks were created, irrigation systems in critical zones were reinforced, and new defensive lines were established at strategic points around the city. Thanks to these efforts, and an improvement in weather conditions, officials managed to prevent the fire from spreading into Tel Aviv's densely built-up center. However, the threat had not fully disappeared. For several days, the fire remained active across multiple fronts, slowly advancing toward forested areas in the north. Authorities warned that the risk remained high and that it was crucial to keep emergency protocols in place until full containment could be achieved. Meanwhile, investigations into the fire's origin began. Forestry experts and security teams inspected the areas where the primary ignition points were believed to have started. Although no single cause has been confirmed, working theories include human negligence, poorly extinguished campfires, or even a potential electrical short circuit caused by aging infrastructure. The government response included announcements of future investments in fire prevention plans. The construction of green zones as urban fire breaks, and educational campaigns promoting environmental safety. Authorities also pledged to install new early detection systems and improve coordination among emergency services. The impact on infrastructure was significant. Roads were blocked, electrical services interrupted, and more than 100 homes suffered material damage. Although no fatal casualties were reported, the emotional and financial toll on many families was devastating. By the end of the week, the fire finally began to subside. With the help of light rain and a drop in temperatures, crews managed to contain the remaining hot spots. Recovery efforts were launched immediately, with municipal teams clearing debris, restoring power, and assessing structural damage in affected neighborhoods. This tragedy has served as a harsh lesson on the vulnerability of modern cities in the face of extreme weather events. Despite Tel Aviv's advanced urban systems, the city was clearly unprepared for a crisis of this scale. Yet it also demonstrated the strength of its community, the effectiveness of its emergency response, and the bravery of its people. Community leaders and local authorities have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening resilience in the face of future crises. The road to rebuilding what was lost will be long, but resources and resolve are already being mobilized to turn this painful experience into an opportunity for collective learning and growth. What happened in Tel Aviv is not just another chapter in the growing list of global wildfires. It is an urgent wake-up call to rethink environmental policies, building standards, and urban planning strategies. The city has endured and is beginning to rise again, but the memory of the flames will remain as a lasting reminder of how fragile our environment is in the face of negligence and climate crisis.